Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I have one of the best budget-friendly shotguns out there, the Mossberg Maverick 88. Now, I'm going to be using this for quite a few squirrel hunts this year, so in order to protect it, we're going to give it a cheap paint job and go ahead, get this thing cleaned up a bit, and get it ready for the season. Alright, here we go. So first thing we're going to do, make sure everything is clear, nothing in the magazine tube, anything of that nature. Now, just need to pop out this pin for the trigger assembly. And just taking these things out, make sure we don't get paint on them and reduce its ability to function. Pull out that trigger assembly, rack it forward, guide bars come out for the shells. If we can get those out, and then action slide comes out. Let's see. Yep, I'll have to unscrew the barrel off. Barrel slides out. I'm not going to paint this because I want to have as much texture as possible, so slide tube simply, that's going to go there. Now we pull out the bolt, set that to the side, and then finally our cartridge carrier. And this thing is completely torn down. Now what I'm going to do is put my barrel back on, tape all of these crevices up that I don't want paint into the internals, and then we'll be ready to go ahead and start working on paint. So we'll go ahead and tape this up. I got this frog tape here. It's just what I'm going to prefer to use. Any holes I see, I'm going to go ahead, place some tape behind those. I'll obviously cover the inside as well. Alright, I got everything taped. Only other things I want to take off are my swivel studs, make sure they don't get clogged with paint, as well as I'm not too concerned if they get a little rust on them. So I'll just remove this front one real quick, and just using a small screwdriver, and I have one right here on the rear. See if it's easy enough to get out. Yep, that is. So that's threaded in. A couple more turns. Yep, there we go. I'll keep these swivels right here. And now it's time to get this on the board and we go ahead and start painting. There is a very small amount of rust on this bluing currently. I was thinking about sanding it down, but frankly, given the paint job and what I'm doing with it, I'm not too worried about it. So I'll just throw a coat of paint over it and it should last a relatively decent amount of time. My first coat's going to be my lightest, and that's this kind of khaki color for Rust-Oleum. Now, I went with this camouflage paint specifically because it has the matte finish. Generally, you're going to have a glossier finish when it comes to most spray paints. So, matte finish, Rust-Oleum, khaki. I'll do my base coat as my lightest, and then I'll go back with darker colors and put that over the top. Now, whenever you paint anything, you just need light sprays to begin with. I want to do 2 coats basically. Just going to do a nice light spray. Anything I don't get the first time, it'll be alright. I want to spray this again. But I want this to have quick drying times. Alright, that's a pretty good first coat. Gonna give this about 15 minutes to set up, and then I'll spray it again. Alright, just gonna lightly touch this paint. Yep, that is good to the touch, so I'm gonna go ahead and add my second layer to this side. This side is dry to the touch, so I'm gonna go ahead, flip it over. Now, it is time to paint this other side. When it comes to adding patterns, there's 2 separate things you can do. First thing is just using natural foliage you find. If you're going to use natural foliage, you start off with your darkest color first because you're going to have quite a bit of overspray of the lighter color you may want. The second way to do it is do outlines. I made some very basic patterns on this paper. I don't need anything too fancy. I'm simply going to take a razor blade and cut these out. And that way, this paper will trap most of the overspray, and I only get these areas with darker color, leaving me with the majority of this shotgun being a light color like I prefer. Alright, so I went ahead and cut out this crude template. Again, not going for perfection here, just going to get a rough camo pattern. I kind of like the vintage style camo patterns personally, plus they're a little easier to do. So I'm just going to lay that on the barrel, lay that flat. And I'm going to be using a decent amount of this lighter green and just a little bit of the black. I thought I had a brown, but I did not. I want to have the bolt, which is going to be black, the forearm, and a couple other things that'll be black on this firearm once it's all put back together. And I think that's going to give it a really nice pop. So let's go ahead and start with this green right towards the tip of the barrel. Just do a light spray, just like that. I'm just going to go through, do a couple of patterns. Alright, well, got everything set up. I went ahead and flipped the gun over to let the other side dry just a little bit longer, although it is pretty dry. Got the Color Max clear coat out. This is a matte finish clear coat. Last thing you want to do is put a matte finish down or a matte paint down and put a glossy clear coat over the top. It really defeats the purpose. So, I shook this up a little bit off camera. Now I'm just going to do light passes, and every minute or so I'm going to do basically 3 coats. And then 1 minute between each coat is what's recommended. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. Here we are with the finished product. Most of the paint did come out smooth, and I got that matte finish that I was hoping for. Now there are some areas, such as right here, I ended up with a bit of mud cracking. Now this is still going to be okay for me. Once it becomes a more significant issue, I'll just repaint this area, but I believe this has to do with either an incompatibility between the two chemistries of the different polymers I was using for the clear coat and the colored coat, or the other possibility, and I think this is more likely, is that I was using a fast drying clear coat and the solvents that were used in that simply were not compatible with this color coat, and it allowed for this mud cracking to occur as it shrank it together. So I have that in a couple of areas right there. There's a little bit in this area and a little bit towards the front, but the majority of this did come out all right. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead, put the furniture back on, reassemble it, and take this paint off, or I'm sorry, not the paint, but the tape, and we'll see how this thing ends up looking. Well, here is the final product. Is it pretty? Still, no, not really. But I do believe that this paint will at least protect it a bit better than what the bluing was, especially out in the field. And it functions just like it should. Overall, I'm content with it. There's a couple things I wish I would have done a little bit better with this project, but you live and learn. Definitely want to go back and use a clear coat. I want to make sure it's compatible and try to stick with the same brand just in case the solvent package is a bit different and that could cause issues. But guys, I do hope you'll enjoy this video. If you did, you're ready to see this Mossberg Maverick go out on a squirrel hunt. Please make sure to share, like, and subscribe for more. And as always, thanks for watching.